Welcome to another of our podcasts from Trades of the Round Table here in our fabulous studios in the centre of the United Kingdom. And it's great that you're with us again today. Well, I'm Annie, and we've got something rather curious to talk about today, because a trade that if you ask certain people on a building site who are the most important, they will say there ain't no build without us. It is, of course, the brickies. So I'm joined at the table today by Anthony Ellard, Tony to his mates. Yes, he does have some. Okay. Managing Director, of course, in A&E Construction, and all the way from Australia, manfully battling jet lag. I tell you, he has flown in today, kid you not, George Hinings, Managing Director of BT Engineering Australia. Welcome.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you,
Tony.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Great to have you here, man. Great to have you here.
We should point out as well, BT Engineering has nothing to do with BT Telecoms as in this country, just so that there's no confusion over that. And you're based just outside Sydney, New South Wales.
Southern suburbs of Sydney.
What is it?
Kirrawee.
Kirrawee.
That's great. I love that.
Kirrawee.
I love that straight away.
Sutherland Shire.
Okay, Kirrawee,
Yep.
south of Sydney.
God's country, also known as.
Apparently so. Welcome to our podcast and welcome to the UK as well. Your business literally started originally by someone called Bruce, and I shouldn't laugh because that would be terrible to say. Everyone in Australia is called Bruce, but it was a Bruce Thomas. He was an engineer and a bit of a problem solver.
Definitely, yeah. He worked through basically solving problems for his bricky mates. They used to turn up to his workshop and say, Bruce, I have a problem.
Yeah.
I think this is the solution. And they'd talk through it and scribble bits of drawings on paper, and then he'd go back to his factory and
just
knock
make something.
up. Yep.
And then go, here are brickies.
Yeah, try
and
this.
Go, right, problem
and then,
solved.
Yeah, number of iterations, and we've got lots of products like that. So we've got the dory block.
Yeah.
We're
going to come on to the dory block because I rather like the sound of the dory block, and it's rather interesting. But his son sold the business, and that's where the current owners, and you're the managing director, and you've taken over. The business has grown, and you sell all these kind of tools. And we're going to talk specifically today about some saws, which are brilliant, apparently, says she who knows nothing about bricklaying.
They're game changers.
Yeah, they're game changers, and they are saws for bricks. You use them, Tony. Why do you use them?
Because it's, as I say straight away, they're a massive game changer, because obviously petrol saws are good, they come into their own, but if you can imagine, the project that we purchased it for was an extension that we're doing, a Victorian build, and it had this beautiful Flemish barn, absolutely loads and loads of headers for a cut. I mean, it's nearly about 4,000 headers to cut.
Headers?
So headers like kind of, so basically it's a brick cut in half, so you just see the head of the brick.
Okay.
So what happened is, if you can imagine trying to do that with petrol saw, it's just been absolutely crazy on the back.
And presumably it's physically difficult.
It is, yeah. No,
you've got all the dust flying everywhere.
Yeah, even though you can connect the petrol saw, hand petrol saw with the water feed, but if you can imagine the BT engineering saw, honestly, it's just brilliant, because you're standing there, you can set the gauge up so all of your bricks can be a perfect cut. You just pull it across. The actual ergonomics of the saw is just so good, and so no even taxing on the body, So.
Yeah, well, we don't want to be taxed on your body, do you really? No. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the equipment, and I do like to talk about equipment. So I love the fact that when the company first started, and I've got to read this, that Bruce worked with Aussie bricklayers. If they had ideas or problems, he'd make a tool for it. As we've just heard, the dory block, designed for a bloke called
Dorian.
the Dean 05. That was done in 2005. Wait for it, for a bloke called
Dean.
Yeah. Very grassroots, hands-on stuff.
Definitely, we like to keep things simple. We're not sending rockets to the moon. We're supporting bricklayers to do what they do best, which is lay bricks quickly and provide their customers with quality builds.
So these particular saws, and you've been extolling the virtues of them, really do make the job easier for a bricklayer.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference between our saw and say your standard demo saw that you guys use a lot
over here because we're
over
a bit
here.
behind. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm hearing what you're saying.
Oh no, it's just very different. So we drive utes. You have vans.
Yeah.
So chucking one of our saws in the back of your van is very different.
Yeah.
When in Australia they come straight off the stand, slide in the back of the ute, and stand goes over the top.
Okay.
So, basically, it's a standing up saw. So you place the brick on a tray and you slide the brick into the blade. Whereas what you guys do is you put the brick on the ground and you stand on one end, and then you bend over all the way down to your knees, and then you cut the brick with the demo saw. More often than not, people don't plug the dust suppression water system in.
No, it's very true. So it's really funny when you're on site. A lot of people, it's the thing you always have to make sure is happening. To do that, and with yours, so it just makes the whole application so much easier.
Well, can I just say, not a lot of people know this, but in my sixth form, and I know that was quite a long time ago, no need to snigger at the back, we had Wednesdays afternoons, which were for extramural activities.
Okay.
Of course, in the sixth form, we thought, hey, this is great, extramural activities on a Wednesday afternoon, until they told us that we had to go and do a course of our choosing. I chose, at the tender age of 17, to go and do bricklaying.
Wow.
Bet you didn't know that.
Oh, didn't get in
Hey!
there.
Boom! And I loved it. My arch was a triumph, can I say, until
Super.
the Cavetto mould came out. Yeah. But the one image that sticks in my head, and I say this quite serious, is cutting the blooming bricks. Did my head in, and my fingers and everything else, because I was not really well prepared in those days. Tony, you've been using these on site. What benefits have you found for your guys?
Well, I suppose what it was, when I first looked on the market, as everybody does, they Google search, they go onto YouTube, they look at all the products being used. And you've got the Clipper, which is a big monster saw. Then you've got Red Bank, they do a saw that's even bigger, sort of thing. So for me, I just needed to make sure it was really lightweight, versatile, easy to get in the truck, because it's dead true. You guys have got utes, we've got vans. So it was that thing, and also something that didn't have too much vibration through. And what really crunched it for me, I watched Stu Compton use it, and then I phoned him up, and he was saying actually really good saw, and it was doing these cuts so beautifully and so cleanly, so that was me sold.
That's a big plus, because it's a clean cut.
Definitely.
It's a clean cut.
And the other thing, it was just so easy to use. You set the blade and you just glide the brick through. And for me, when you're cutting nearly 4,000, 5,000 headers or any other kind of bricks, it just makes life so much easier.
What kind of feedback have you had from guys on site?
Oh God, it's just game changing.
Really?
Literally, it was just like, when we bought it, Alex was like, "Oh my God, we've got saw bricks on BT bricks." So it's just like, "Oh, I've seen this on YouTube. Oh, this is like, can I have it's mine?" And it lives in Alex's van now. It's not my saw anymore. It's Alex's saw.
George, is it true to say though we've got a little bit of a catch up here in the UK, because in Australia you've been using this for quite a while. Our Australian bricklaying cousins are really into it, but we've a bit of catch up here to do.
Yeah, I suppose it's just the traditional method of bricklaying where a bricklayer will, and they are craftsmen, and that is really important to get across. We'll build a corner, so you have a corner man or two that will go and build all the corners for the home or the structure. Making sure that all the courses are right and all the corners are square and plumb and true. And then you fill in the wall. The problem is you have to build all the corners first before you can fill in the wall. Whereas in Australia for a long time now we've been using profiles and string lines. We have, say, the timber clamp, which allows you to get a profile, put it on the corner of your foundation, prop the profile up with timbers so it's secure, and then you run the dory blocks off your profiles, and that's how you set your string line. So therefore you don't need to build the corners first.
Right, which you normally have to do.
I'm certainly not advocating for dumbing down the trade at all. But when you're competing in a competitive market, the speed in which you build is incredibly important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely with it on price and that. Yeah, 100%.
So, the faster that you can get that wall up, the less time the guys are on site, the less you can charge, etc.
Clients happy.
Clients are happy.
Absolutely.
And you end up with more business.
Working from a building site roots up, which is what Bruce did way back when the company first started. It's that idea of feedback from what the guys on site are telling you, and presumably you get that.
Yeah, no, definitely. The one thing I liked when I was looking into this sort of history and the sort of talking to George is there where all these bricklayers would sit down and have a beer and talk about the issues and the problems that are on the site, and then what could they do to resolve that. And that happens a little bit in the UK. I know Charlie Collinston was dealing with talking to different people of designing their clamp, and that's very much what Bruce did. He sat down with bricklayers, had a beer.
They had a beer.
That's it. And then came up with the ideas and solutions. Went away, did a project, and that's what I absolutely love. And we get the feedback myself. Anywhere we can improve or create some kind of tool or jig to make life easier, this is what we do.
And it also means the job gets done faster, and it means you move on to another job, and so economic flow is so much 100%. Better. From a business point of view, copying is a form of flattery, they do say.
Yes.
Not great ultimately business-wise, but you've had people copying your stuff.
We have, unfortunately,
Have you got your supply sorted now in the UK?
It's we struggled a lot, being in Australia, getting raw materials and so on. We struggled with COVID, as a lot of people did. Yeah. And just our scheduling of jobs, etc. So when I joined, we've done a lot of work internally to improve the scheduling and the material purchasing, and of course, material is now a bit easier to come across. So when you place the order for a particular length of steel, and the mill in Melbourne puts it off for 3 or 4 weeks, and you needed it 2 weeks ago, you don't have a lot of choice. So yes, we've done a lot of work. We're in the throes of final stages of commissioning another welding robot.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so a mix of
big expansion for the company, for BT Engineering.
We moved factories just over a year ago. So we went from the old shed that the business had been in for 30 to 40 years.
I hope you still own the old shed.
No, we don't. Well,
the old shed.
I must say that the Thomas family, I believe, still do own that.
Oh, that's right. That's good.
So what I suppose I'm getting at is, if people have had their appetite whetted listening to this today, and they think, well, I really, as a business, think this makes sense. They can access it in this country.
Yes, we've got some saws on their way over now, air freight. We've got some more coming sea freight, and we'll probably do another air freight shipment just before Christmas.
It's a win-win all around, isn't it? Tony, you've seen these saws in bricklaying as a game changer.
Yeah, definitely.
Seriously,
for me. I always say in life, this kind of through this whole journey up in this industry, there's certain tools that have become game changers, like Dan Cott's roofing square, then the Paz logo and Positive Nailer, then the BT saw. For me, it just makes life easy. And the big thing is, like, what do they always say? Work smart, but not hard, sort of thing. So I do believe in that, and this saw brings that to us. So for me, it's always a win-win.
Finally, if people want to find out more, how can they do that?
Via our website. So we have an online shop through bt.co.uk. And we also have a retailer down in Weymouth, SB Tools.
Steve, he's a really cool guy. Yeah, he came to our show, BCL, actually.
Yeah.
Really cool guy. Got some great products in the brick world, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a lovely man. So we do a lot of work together. I visited his shop, last time I was over here, September.
Yeah.
I believe he's moving. Bigger shop.
Bigger shop actually. It's doing really well.
Success. Fantastic.
So, more BT sauce.
That's it. So he must be doing something right.
Well, if only I'd had one of these saws all those years ago, my arch would have been perfect.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Guys, it's been, actually, I knew nothing about bricklaying, but I've learned today, and I've learned all about the saws and how brilliant they are. George Hinings, thank you very much indeed. Tony, as always, from A&E Construction, thank you, guys. And join us next time for our next podcast.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you very much.